Jay, of course, you penned that story in the Wall Street Journal. Galileo is here with us on set. Galileo, we've had you on before following some of these stocks that you are bullish, bearish on. Where does Dropbox fall in your stocks that you like?
I'm sort of neutral right now. I think the company's at an interesting inflection point where they have this opportunity to give consumers and enterprises a ton of insight on all the data they have and potentially emerge as an artificial intelligence play by giving people insight and actionable, stuff to do with that data. So if they can really execute on this, I think it has a lot of potential long term.
And Jay, let's bring you in here. So beating on the top and bottom line here, but we're seeing that Dropbox is down on the day so far today. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's mostly because the stock had a pretty good run since its IPO. It's still up about 45% since the IPO. I think analysts were, there were whisper numbers and there were real numbers. The company, beat all the expectations that were on the street, but I think folks wouldn't have minded seeing something a little bit higher. But if you look at all the analyst reports today, most of them are, still pretty bullish on the company.
Still pretty bullish on the company, Jay, here. And again, 500,000 now paying subscribers that it has. When we look to the future of Dropbox, and maybe some of the analysts weighed into you, but is it largely on just how much they can grow this paying subscription number and then how much money they can rake out of each of those paying subscribers?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is that Dropbox has a paying product. Most of its users don't use it, but they have a lot of users, and so the idea is to convert them. It's one of the reasons why they sold, with 750 plus, million in stock. They want to convert those folks, and they actually converted at a faster rate than analysts were anticipating. They added about 500,000 new members, paying members in the last quarter, and that's a number that analysts will keep an eye on.
Galileo, do you have any thoughts or concerns on Dropbox's ability to convert those free users to paid users?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the way they describe it is we have 500 million salespeople, sort of advocates of the product. So I look at that as a huge asset. They have all these people already using the product, vouching for them in the enterprise. So yeah, it's tricky to convert them, and it looks like 11.5 million out of 500 million is a small number. But I think if you look at that as sort of salespeople and advocates, then that's an exciting marketing opportunity.
Mostly here, Dropbox in the storage and collaboration services space here when we talk about the cloud, and of course we know Microsoft and Box being the most notable competitors in that space. Galileo, is there a leg up that you think Dropbox has against these two companies?
Frankly, I'm not sure, and that's why I'm not too bullish on the company, because they have a really high valuation, like almost 9 or 10 times price sales. Growth is decelerating, and I don't really understand how sticky or how much of a moat they really have with the storage business. To me, Box seems like a very similar product, so I'm just not convinced that they have a strong differentiator.
And Jay, I'd love to hear your opinion as well on the competition, but more so on the bigger names who are playing in this space as well. Of course, Google, Apple, that sort of thing. Do you think there's more pressure from the likes of a Box or more pressure from these big players who have more capital and seemingly endless capital at the end of the day?
I think the answer is yes. There's more pressure from both. It's a really tough space, right? And to Dropbox's credit, they've carved out a niche, but to get people to pay for the product is tough, particularly when companies like Microsoft and Google are effectively giving it away as part of bigger offerings. Box is interesting too. Dropbox has mostly been a consumer product, and it's really trying to convert into much more of a corporate product, and it is adding analytics and collaboration features and that sort of thing. But it's tough all around.
When it comes to Dropbox's competition, I guess, even versus an Apple and a Google, Jay, how much of an uphill battle do you think that this company Dropbox faces?
Well, it is a battle. I mean, and as I say, to their credit, they've established a pretty good foundation. They have a lot of users, and now the key is, the key is trying to get those users to figure out that they need to actually pay for the service. And they've done it at a pretty good pace so far, but, converting the next 500,000 and the 500,000 after that is, it gets to be tougher and tougher.
Galileo, let's bring in the ARPU number as well, average revenue per user, which came in at $114.30 versus expected $111.97. Do you think Dropbox's play going forward will be to sort of focus on quality over quantity, in that they want to drive the ARPU, over the number of users? What do you think is going to be the focus for Dropbox?
I think it's both, but really long term, I think the key to growing average revenue per user is giving people insights from all of the unstructured data they store on the platform, transitioning away from just being a storage company to actually giving like sort of an analytics business and an AI company. And so if they can do that, there's tremendous upside to the average revenue per user.
But do you think that Dropbox will be able to be a leader in that front when you have the likes of Apple and Google have so much more data on you as a user? Will Dropbox be able to compete in that sense?
I'm frankly not confident that they will be able to compete, which is why I'm sort of neutral. But the bottom line is they have a growing amount of data each day, and so as long as they can stay where they are and start providing value on that data, I think the product starts to get a lot stickier. And I struggle to think about why someone wouldn't switch to Box or Microsoft if it's cheaper than Dropbox right now. So I don't know, it's tough for me to say.
Jay, quickly, in terms of the analyst community, is there one figure that they find most important when Dropbox releases earnings, like a Netflix, for instance, where it's all about subscribers? What matters most for Dropbox?
Yeah, well, the two figures right? New paying subscribers and ARPU, right? Average revenue per paying user. Those are the things they'll keep an eye on. And as I say, in the last quarter, they beat on both of those. And so that's the thing analysts will keep talking about and keep looking at.
Jay Green, reporter at the Wall Street Journal, Galileo Russell, too, with us here, founder of HyperChange TV. Guys, we got to leave it there, but thanks again for joining us.
Thanks.